Islam, peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Today is March the 24th, 2021 on the Greco-Roman calendar, 1442 on the sovereign, original, indigenous, ancient, Moorish, American, Moroccan moon calendar. We've already started the conversation prior to the recording starting, but it was what we were going to talk about today anyway, among other things, is this. The hybrids, with their hearts, have been impersonating the Moors, coming into our meetings with they and L on their, signing or whatever, and then, impersonating and saying things, and they pop in and they don't want you to boot them out, so they come in as if they're Moors. And we're going to spend some time on them today because we love them, and we want them to know that no matter what, we're going to do this. And we've been letting them know that. But I wanted to spend some time on it because some Moors have been suggesting that we use a different platform than the platform that we use. Right now we use free conference call, and then we take the video and we put it up on YouTube. And some Moors get tired of the hybrids coming in and talking and, cutting up and doing monkey business, And I thought about it long and hard because it's distracting to some Moors. It's distracting to some. That the hybrids come into the meeting, and some Moors don't like that they're disrespectful, doing what monkeys do. And I'm not trying to be mean, but that's where they come from. So we created them that way. So what do we expect from them? But I wanted to say this about changing platforms. I was going to change platforms and go on to YouTube and just do YouTube Live so that they can't speak in our meetings. But I'm not going to do that. And I'll tell you why. It's not right now, because I'll tell you why. I like being able to hear more than just me talking. I like to hear the Moors. I like to hear, because how else will we know what's going on in our nation if we don't talk to one another? And then how else will the new Moors know that they're not alone in what they're thinking unless we put it out there? You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And so I know that there are many Moors who listen to the call, and when they hear someone express something, some discomfort or some test or something that they're not sure about, it gives them comfort that they're not alone in what they're thinking and what they're feeling. And to me, that's priceless. We've been doing the calls this way since day one, really, since 2017. And and that actually started with my biological brother, Chalet Morbet, whom I honor and I love, and everyone knows that. He's my older brother, and, he started these calls it started out as being just a Thursday call, and now it's expanded to Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday, and any other time that we have calls. And we have been making so much progress that now the hybrids have started not just coming in and talking crazy where we're concerned, but they are starting to call, appellations out on the call of the people that are on the call to intimidate the Moors. That's what they're trying to do. And they're trying to stop as many Moors as possible from hearing what we're saying because they already know where we're going. They know where we've been, they know what we're doing, and they know where we're going. And some Moors are uncomfortable with that. They want to maintain their privacy, and that's okay. We honor that too, but we're not going to hide our light under a bush because a hybrid acts like a hybrid. I want to make that real clear because they haven't stopped us thus far. We've been leaning the crap out of all of that capitalism and all of that craziness. And now look where we are. So we're not going to stop doing what we're doing just because a couple of hybrids act like hybrids. To me, it's funny because they keep, they come into the calls, but they haven't stopped anything. There's only a 2 or 3 Moors who have said, I'm never going to attend those calls again because hybrids keep coming in and it's distracting. That's okay. But we're going to keep the calls going just like this because we can hear. And our ear needs to be attuned to one another. We need to get used to hearing from one another despite, and it's not even despite the distraction, because it's not a distraction, really. They haven't stopped us from doing anything. All it's doing is making sure that we know how to keep our energies connected to one another. Because the hybrids know. This is something they know about us. That we're bound together by blood, and no matter what they do, they even tried entering our bloodline and trying to corrupt it, and they can't do it. They've not been able to corrupt our bloodline. Why? Because our bloodline is too powerful and too strong. We're still here. They tried to engulf the whole earth in hybrid, and we're still here, pure bloodline, still here. And that's the same theme that was going through everything that we do and everything that we did, is attempted corruption with no success. And now our connection is earth-wide, as it's always been, but that's on public display by way of the many Moors that are demonstrating and having calls, and we're not the only ones who have calls, and we can hear from one another. The hybrids tend to come here a lot more often. This is where they started a lot of that stuff. This is with the consulate and with the Moorish National Republic federal government. But we expected some weak opposition a little bit. We expected that. So I will say this: the Moors whose sovereign appellations they've been calling out. Hey, where is so-and-so? Where is so-and-so? Go to the
How
so-and-so
come Milo
page.
called you out on her Facebook
page,
Pauline?
Right, that. Thank you for being here, because we can shut you up when we get ready. Been doing it and gonna keep. We can shut them up when we get ready. And they'll try 2 or 3 more times, whatever. We gonna shut them up again and again and again so we can keep doing what we're doing. But I want to say this to the Moors that are here. Them hybrids ain't been keeping nothing private out there. Emails ain't private. Calls are not private. They've been proving that by putting emails that were supposed to be on separate servers up all about there for everybody to see, and text messages and all of that for everybody to see. So that stuff is not private, and anyone thinking that it is just, they just don't know yet that it's not private, and that this is something that is earth-wide. So, and again, we honor the sovereign, the wishes of the sovereign. So those who don't want to come on the calls because they want privacy, Just think about how they used the information when we thought we were citizens. They was going all around the world. They was coming here telling y'all, oh, be quiet, keep your social private. That's your private information. And then taking it and going all around Earth saying, we got the consent of the heirs. Here's their information. Do you want to buy it? Do you want to buy it? You want to buy it. Do you want to buy it? You want to buy it. Do you want to buy it? Oh, we're not going to give them nothing. We just going to keep them quiet. And as long as they stay quiet, we all right. We can sell, resell, and resell, and resell their consent. We're not even interested in the consent of the citizens because it ain't worth nothing. But when we mix it in and make it seem like it's all together and it's all valuable, all we need is one heir. And we can sell and resell and resell thousands of times. So we're now putting it on the public record that we're speaking out loud. And it's not just one or two of us speaking out loud, it's all of us speaking out loud. They can hear us on the call speaking out loud. They can hear us voting on the call. We have together placed our sovereign agreement on the public record many times on these calls. Many times we've placed our sovereign agreement on the record. Go back and listen to some of those recordings. That's what they were trying to stop. Okay. And then there's another component to them showing up here, and it ain't but two of them really, 2 or 3. They do have one hybrid female, you know, and she sounds like the lady from Poltergeist, but that's another story. They're just, you know, the information that we put out there and that we agree on, that's the part they didn't want to get out on the public record because we snatching sandwiches. We taking sandwiches. No one can eat when the heirs speak and say we're using our own credit. And that's what we've been saying all along with the 666 trillion and the gold standard and all of that. We're saying, nobody uses our credit but us. And now we see where that's going. That means everybody who was using our consent has to stop using our consent. And ain't nothing moving until the Moors move it. Ain't nothing moving on this earth until we move it. That's
you all end up in jail for doing all your bullshit. Be quiet. Like we said, quiet, hybrid. Yep, get on out of here, quiet. Because your sandwich is the main one that's been taken clearly because you keep running your mouth. Hungry. And we're going to keep snatching.
You sound like a fucking ghetto hood rat,
We're going to keep snatching them. Be quiet. Be quiet. Be quiet. Like we said, we're going to keep snatching them. And as soon as you reveal your real name, because, see, y'all come on these calls talking a lot of trash, but I guarantee you, y'all doing everything you can to hide your true identity. Why are you hiding your true identity? Because you don't want to get leaned. You don't want to get leaned. You don't. And we will lean you as soon as we you know, but we have ways to find out who you are. It hasn't been worth our time. It hasn't been worth our time. You're not worth our time because we got bigger fish to fry. We got bigger fish to fry. And we love you. We ain't trying to hurt you. We're not going to hurt you because we created you. Why would we create, a hybrid and then turn around and hurt a hybrid? We are not letting you be something other than what you really are, though. So we know why you come here. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. And you know what? That's the thing.
Call that what you want to call it. Because, yeah, we're going to throw you out. You're getting out. You can call it what you want to call it, but y'all know it's not anger. We're going to tell the truth. Why would I be angry when we own everything? Y'all coming here. We're not going to y'all. Y'all coming to us because y'all want some sandwiches. It's okay. We're going to make sure y'all eat. We're going to make sure y'all eat, but we're going to eat first. How about that? We love it. We absolutely love it. We love it. And so I was going to change platforms because of all of that energy that just left, that just got booted out of here. I was going to change platform, but I'm not going to change platform. I'm not. We're going to stay right here on this platform right here. Why? Because they're letting us know how we're doing. Justice Theodore. He handed y'all back a sandwich. He handed you back a sandwich. Justice Theodore, don't give them no sandwich. Don't give them nothing because they ain't going to do nothing but want more than one. And we're not trying to give them nothing right now because there's more who need food and domiciles and all of that. So let's, that's funny though. But Moors, we doing everything right. We're doing everything right. We're doing everything right. And so now they tried targeting specific Moors on the calls. And only if Moors are easily intimidated can they win. And that only temporarily, because even Moors who may feel like, they called my name, they called my appellation. I don't want to, After a while, you're going to get tired of them bullying, attempting to bully you. And then you just don't stand because it's in our makeup, it's in our cellular makeup, it's in our atomic makeup to stand. So I wanted to take a little bit of time on that because I thought long and hard about changing platforms, but I don't want to just hear me talk. Some can, our teachers, we could listen to our teachers talk all day and we'd be good with that. But this call started with us talking to each other. And it's been continuing with us talking to each other. And yes,
Islam?
A hybrid pops in. Yes, come on, Empress.
My consort's laughing. Well, if we were to change platforms, it's another form of wearing a mask.
It is.
These calls are about the Moors. We have business to take care of. And the world needs to hear all of our voices, not just one, because it's about us. Thank you. Islam, I yield.
There you go. They need to hear. And again, we honor those who teach. We honor that because without it, we would not be who we are today and where we are today. We wouldn't be here. We want to hear voices of the living. And that's what these calls have always been about. That's why we put them up on the public record, because there's so many Moors who are not awake yet, who when they hear the call, I've had more sleeping Moors who just woke up, call me and say, you know what, all I do is listen to call after call after call, and I go to sleep listening to them, and I wake up listening to them. Because the information, and I get to hear. And a lot of the questions that I have, the Moors are asking questions that I had, and I get the answer without even having to ask the question. Or I get the energy from the call.
Mm-hmm. Islam?
Islam, Empress.
There's nothing more exciting There's nothing more exciting out there that's happening right now. I myself, as I look around at the world, everything else has become boring.
Yes.
There's nothing more important than what's happening here.
Yes. Yes.
Islam.
Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. All the hybrids know that. And despite any hybrid interference, it's not going to stop. Why would we stop and change and hide our light under a bushel? Why would we do that? Why? Why? When we have so much, we have the information that's actually going to heal us first, and everyone else afterwards. We actually, all of us, we all have the information that's going to heal the earth. Why would we hide that? The whole earth has been waiting for us to speak.
Islam, as above, so below.
Yes.
Shine, baby, shine. Come on.
As above, so below, for real. For real, for real. So we're going to stay right here on this platform right here, and as necessary, we will boot the fraud out and keep going. And if you bold enough, come on, because we'll keep going. And when I say if you're bold enough, I'm talking to the Moors. Don't be scared of them hybrids. Satan, your sovereign appellation. Don't be scared of them. That's all talk. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt. And our words actually speak life and or death to anyone. As it turns out, we speak life. We already did that whole colonization, thinking we're citizens. Death. That's denationalization. That's death. We have resurrected ourselves. No, we resurrected. Be quiet. I said be quiet and get out this meeting. You will do as commanded. We speak life into everything. And we're not even speaking death at the one we just booted out of here. Again, same 2 or 3. It ain't no whole army of hybrids that's against what we're doing. 99.999.999% of them are watching with bated breath because they already know their redemption is nigh, even in our mouth. That's why we say all rise and stand. So no, we're not going to change. We're not going to change platforms and all of that. We're not changing them. And I thought about it. I thought about it, and I dealt. I spoke to the ancestral energies within, and then I listened, and they're just letting us know how we're doing. Because if no one knows about the cause, and then where's the victory in that? If we're hiding the information, where's the victory in that? That's how we ended up coming with what we are out of now. It's people being secretive about stuff and hiding and talking about non-disclosure agreements. Really? Let's put it out there. Let's put it out there.
Hey, well, we had in Alabama rules. Hurt dog, holler.
Yes. Yes. It's all about the information. Knowledge is power, period. We know that because they hid the knowledge.
They don't realize all of it is a transcript that run behind the bull crap.
That's it. We created this matrix. And only we can destroy a matrix, and only we can create a new one. So when they talk about hybrid technology, ain't no such madness. Never had an original thought in their lives. Because we didn't create them to have an original thought. We said you will say what we say, and then when we're asleep, You can say, well, you know, the opposite, but not really. You still have to tell the truth. And then you color it. That's why they're colored people, because they use color of law and color of authority. Openly, by their own open admission, they've been using that previously. There's no way we're going to let our connection that we've built over all this time be, you know, seemingly disconnected, because there's no such thing as disconnecting us. We can't be disconnected because of our atomic makeup. An atom is indivisible. That means it can't be divided. We're all made from the same one. So we can't be divided. Some might think we can. And they'll say, oh, so-and-so was booted out of this and booted out of that. No. If this is yours, you can't boot nobody out. Period. Period. So, you know, let's not let them hybrid, you know. And I get it. Some are still a little bit affected by them. Some are affected by them. We're not. We're not. So we're not going to change platforms. And we honor, and I'm excited that this is a platform that all Moors can speak on, can open their microphone and say what's on their heart and say what's on their mind. That is what has caused us to prosper the way that we're prospering, and the ancestors to keep giving us the answers and giving us the answers and giving us the answers. That's where the answers come from, is all of us speaking with one voice even. Why is our ancient metaphysical, spiritual, ancestral connection and the inner work that we do to maintain this connection so important? Because, see, this call is a manifestation of that, of us maintaining our connection with each other. It's not just me talking. You can hear other Moors talking and speaking their truth. Even when we don't agree, some Moors will. You've heard the call. But we're still connected, period. How does it help us, that connection on this plane? How does it help us? Well, we're multidimensional beings. All activity happens first in the spirit realm and then in the natural. Therefore, in order to demonstrate successfully on this plane, we have to demonstrate unity in the metaphysical, in the spiritual. Unity starts there, with the one mind coming together. And if a hybrid saying a few words, a few dead words at that, can sever your connection with your own bloodline, supposedly, then just take a seat for a little bit and rethink. Think and rethink. And then come on back and do what we do, or do what you do, you know, on your own. But ultimately, we're still all connected. We're not going anywhere. We're going to be here. So no, we're not going to change platforms. We're not going to do any of that. We're going to stay right here and continue being ourselves. We're going to be ourselves. Are there any, and again, if they're out there impersonating any of us, we will know by the nature. Just like the Bible says, we'll know them by their fruit. Whenever I go out on social media and I see some craziness happening out there and they have a bay or an L, I just think that may or may not be them speaking. Might be a hybrid impersonating me. If it's not, it's hybrid energy. So we're still right about that. It's colonization energy. So they vent, they say things, okay. But at the beginning and end of the day, we still got to come back together and govern this vast state together. Can't just be one or two. Got to be all of us. So our connection stays no matter what. Whatsoever, and here's the thing even about that, because what's the difference between enslavement and unity? Because both of them have the characteristic of being bound.
Everything you do is fucking bullshit, Pauline, and you know it.
What's the difference between enslavement and unity? Because both have us bound together. We've always been bound together. The difference is what we're bound together with. Because even in the enslavement, go ahead, nobility.
Melo called your ass out.
Go ahead, nobility. No, not you're not nobility. You're talking the real nobility. The difference is what we're bound with. Are we bound with the cords of unity together, or are we bound with
You only have
by something? So see, even in slavery, we had to consent to that together as one. We had to consent to that. We had to consent to citizenship together, and we never were really citizens. Never. So what binds us together today? Our blood, our birthright, our consent to be one. Is that enslavement? No, it never was. We've never been enslaved. We've never been slaves. Never. God can never be a slave because God has to consent to everything. And whatsoever we bind on earth is bound in heaven. Whatsoever we loose on earth is loosed in heaven. So POWs actually have to consent to that. We've proven that. We have to consent to being citizens, and sometimes we don't want to hear that because we say, I would never consent to that. Somewhere along the way, there was something, because I had to look at it myself and be like, okay, I know I don't have any contract with them. Well, they wanted us to prove that I'm not any name in all capital letters. So I said, okay, we'll go in here and we're going to prove that we're not any name in all capital letters. And guess what they had to do? They had to change it out of capital letters and put it in blue. Their thing. Now, this is their document. We know we're in red and capitis dimiutio nolo, in propria personam, juris, and proprio solo, and proprio heredes. But they had to change their stuff once I proved, yet again, that I have no contract with them. The courts have war rants and all of that. That's what courts do. They war. That's why they're called zombies. All we have to do is keep doing that. Keep doing
that. I have a question.
No wonder. Yes, go ahead. No, Billy.
I heard you say before in propria persona sui juris, you said what? I didn't quite get
In half a mile, turn left.
Sorry about that. Like I said, I'm on the road, so forgive me. What did you say, and what does that mean?
In capitis dimiutio nolo. And then I said in red ink. In capitis dimiutio.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. I want to be sure. Yeah, because
in a quarter of a mile, turn left at the traffic light onto Lake Ida Road.
Sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
No, I'm asking, how do you spell that? Because I'm on, Google. I heard you say that, and I want to look at it.
Turn left at the traffic light onto Lake Ida Road.
It is in capitis dimiutio nolo. So in capitis is I-N space C-A-P-I-T-I-S, capitis. Dimiutio is like, you know how you dim the light, D-I-M-I-N-U-T-I-O. So in capitis dimiutio, and then we say nolo, N-O-L-O.
Okay.
When you Google in capitis dimiutio, you're going to see, if you go to Black's Law Dictionary, 1st through 4th edition, you will see 3 classifications there where in capitis dimiutio are concerned. You'll see in capitis dimiutio maxima, in capitis dimiutio media, and in capitis dimiutio minima. And those classifications mean a certain loss of status because of the use of capital letters. A certain loss of status because of the use of capital letters. We have no loss of status at all, so we're in capitis dimiutio nolo, which means outside of the capitalist system altogether, because that system is subject to us. We proved that already, that even that system must change when we prove who we really are. And we can't just say it, we actually have to prove it with our demonstration. And Moors are doing that all over. And then we use all lowercase letters in red. Red ink. Not blue, it's not black ink. We're in red ink.
Okay, I'm seeing this here. What would you have to say for, it says here in Roman law. So how would that apply to us as Americans?
That's good. Thank you for that question right there, because that's important. Remember, there's no classification of peoples that are out there that we were not that first. So there's a Roman Empire in red in all lowercase letters. That's us. That's the original indigenous Rome. That's us. And then there is the hypothecated hybrid attempted duplication, which is a fallacy. It's false. It's artificial. And that is the Roman, for example, the fake popes of Rome, and they always put their stuff, they always use at least one capital letter, and that's how you know who they're talking about. And they use black ink or blue ink. But very seldom do they use blue ink, because blue ink is going to be subject. It's a subject of the Moors. The black ink is a court, and the blue ink is subject to the Moors. So,
in a quarter of a mile, turn left.
The Roman Pontiff and the Romans in lowercase letters in red ink is us, just like and we've heard our teachers say that we're the original Babylonians, we're the original Phoenicians, we're the original Greeks, we're the original Europeans, we're the original all of that. That's correct. In red in all lowercase letters, we're the original. And then the capitalism system came and said, well, let's corrupt the writing and the language by injecting capital letters in there. A capital letter is not even a letter. It's a picture. It's a hieroglyph. It's a glyph. You know how they say a picture is worth 1,000 words? Okay, capital letters they don't mean just one thing. They mean a whole conglomeration of things. So in the Hebrew language and the ancient Greek language, you could have one symbol, because capital letters are really symbols. And we're not demonizing capital letters. when we put them in their proper perspective. But we're not using them unless we're talking about subjects or zombies, the dead. We're not using them unless we're talking about subjects or zombies. And subjects are noted in blue with one capital letter and the rest lowercase letters. That's a subject to the Moors. But then those corpses, the corpses are black ink and capital letters all day, every day. And if you look in the media, they've been trying to do things in all lowercase letters. Like sometimes they'll say the president, and they'll put that in all lowercase letters, or the governor, and they'll put it in all lowercase letters, but it's still in black ink. That's still not what it should be for us. So we don't, that's not something we use unless we're leaning them and doing court action and telling them, ain't no corpses on this land. Ain't no dead folks here on this land. It's only the living. It's the living heirs. And then that's why we say all rise and stand, the living subjects. Period.
Okay.
That's what in capitis dimiutio nolo is. Go ahead, nobility.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to, I guess, gain your perspective over it. I still can't, like, for me, I'm still not wrapping my mind around it because I'm thinking about the rules.
In a quarter of a mile, turn left at the second traffic light onto State Road 806.
I'm thinking about the rules of the English language. And
that's good.
And then you know what I mean, because we were taught in school about, and even outside of school, even if you do your own study outside the school, I mean you still will learn the rules to the English language are indeed what they did teach us in school. You know what I mean? So that's the part for me that I guess I have to do more research on how that Roman law came into effect.
Turn left at the traffic light onto State Road 806.
Because if I'm thinking about those rules to the English language and I apply that, I mean,
well, think about who taught you those
according
rules.
According to, it seems like according to the capitis Dominius thing, it seems like the rules of the English language can automatically be compromised if you're in the right, like it doesn't count if you're in a certain setting, or a political setting, or within a certain jurisdiction, if you will. But I thought that, language is universal. So when we speak a certain language, you know what I mean, they have vibrations to it. We're talking about the root.
Ooh,
so the root of all language come from, the vibrations that we utter from our throats via our chakras that actually come from the diaphragm. I mean that's another science. I mean, we're still the same science, but
no, it's the same.
With acknowledging that, that's what I mean. I won't say I can't. I'm not understanding how that still can be. But like I said, I have to study the history on it because I've learned from Brother Taj that law and history go together, and a lot of my concepts concerning the law were clear once I started getting that, that historical information, that historical documentation to back up that which is, already is in law. So I get that when Brother Taj was saying that. So I guess, I'm just lacking information as far as the history of it. But I was just wondering about, because I heard you say it, and I was like, I've heard that, because I have a Black's Law at home myself. I have the unabridged, the 1957. Not the revised one, but I have that one at home, and I have come across those terms, and it was just like, okay, that, especially even you take the minimus, the one where it says the least amount, but I'm like, okay, yes, it says the least amount of rights taken, but the point is there are rights. What rights? Even though it's the least amount, there's something taken away. So I want to know what rights are still not afforded even to the minimus, because it's saying the least amount, which means there is an amount. It's just the least amount. So to me, conceptually, from the principle of us being free human beings, it violates that. If I'm free and I was born free, you know what I'm saying, from the day I was crying in my mother's womb, you see what I mean, the day I was even thought of, you know what I mean? So that, right, I mean, to me, it violates that. I mean, what rights am I still not afforded, under de minimis? Because it does say that in the definition. So I'm wondering what is that least amount talking about? And if it is talking about legitimate rights, then what authority does, anyone have to deprive any free human being? And I say that specifically because some human beings, consent to their enslavement. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I'm talking about, the ones that it doesn't apply to. You know what I mean? It doesn't apply to those ones that are conscious and aware and know that they are who they are. How would the capitis dominius, how would that apply to them if they were to use it? Because wouldn't it still be lowering themselves? You know what I mean? Because they would lower themselves to be deprived of what it seems like certain rights, which allude to this least amount thing that's in the definition. And that's where, and with all due respect to Mother Light, I ask this.
I love what you're saying. I love what you're saying. Keep talking, Nobility. I love it because it speaks volumes. Go ahead, Nobility.
Yes.
I love it.
So that's my perception of it. So if I'm wrong, if my concepts are off, I welcome you to help me correct them. But that's where I am.
Okay, so you're not wrong. That's number one. And the reason I say you're not wrong is because you're the sovereign. The sovereign is sovereign no matter what. Okay? So let's make sure that on the metaphysical and the spiritual that we understand that. Let me now bring you back to in capitis dimiutio nolo and how that works. On the metaphysical plane, the sovereign is sovereign, and our word it stands as law, period. However, we are manifesting now on a dimension where, just like you said earlier, how we express ourselves is a particular vibration, right? When we speak and the sounds that are uttered from our throat, it carries a vibration, doesn't it? Not only does what we say from our throat carry a vibration, but what we write and the energy that we put into whatever we do, whatever our creation is, to include the creation of affidavits, that's still a manifestation and a vibration. So we consented to manifest in yet another dimension, which is this one, because we still exist in all the other dimensions. We chose to manifest in this dimension so that we could see how best to navigate it, because we're the navigators, period. So now in this dimension, the way we express ourselves is a vibration. If we want to vibrate higher, we express ourselves one way. If we want to vibrate in our lower self, we express ourselves another way. Those vibrations are not the same. Can we agree on that? That the higher vibrations are different from the lower vibrations.
Yes. Same frequency, just different,
Yes.
It's because everything is the same thing, just different degrees. Like hot and cold, same. It's just different degrees. There is no point in which hot is hot and cold is cold. It's the same thing. So yes, man, I get you. I'm with you.
So same frequency, different vibrations. We have to now know which vibration to choose in order to manifest certain things, because see, God manifests and we create according to the vibration that we give off, that we emanate, right?
So in this realm and this dimension that we're on right now, where we've chosen to manifest here together as one, we've chosen to manifest, there are some things that will challenge our powers and our sovereign authority. A challenge is, it doesn't mean that that thing overpowers us. It just means that it's causing us, it's like going to the gym. You're going to build some muscle by the challenge of lifting the weight. That's really all this is how do you pick the right vibration so that you manifest your freedom in this dimension. If you vibrate like a zombie vibrates, then you're going to get the result that zombies get. We've proven that, haven't we? When we thought we were dead citizens, and we vibrated with what we were taught in those hybrid inferior schools, because when I say inferior, they're inferior to the Argotten, period. That's why the Moors always had to have our own erudition temples instead of education POW camps, because really that's all the school is to educate. It's for animals. Education is for animals by definition. If you look the word education up, it'll say training for animals. And so if we vibrate like that, because we can choose to vibrate however we choose. Same God frequency, but vibrating higher and lower. It's like learning how to sing. When you learn how to sing, if you want to hit the right note and it's a high note, then you go up higher and you close your throat a little bit more, and then you let that sound out. And if it's the right sound, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be in harmony with everything around it, isn't it? Same thing with our words. You see what I'm saying? And then if you let a sound out that's too low, then it's going to seem like it's out of tune with everything that's around you. You see? So same frequency is still a singer. Even the best singers have hit some notes that cause people to go, whoa, did she practice? It does not mean they're not still that professional singer and that they're not the best you've ever heard. It just means that they vibrated at a frequency that is different from that which resonates with all of our ears. And it's the same with the words. Nobility, you hit the nail on the head when you talk about vibrating. You know, same frequency, just different vibrations of that. So we had to vibrate like them to create them. So the vibration is not a bad vibration because God can do whatever God wants to do. We've proven that. All of us, we proved that. It's just that now we're rising back up to our godness, so where do we want to vibrate? Okay? Where do we want to vibrate? And what does that look like in this dimension? What does that look like? We're so God that no matter what dimension we're operating on and that we choose to be on, we can find our godness in that dimension. And it's not even a matter of finding it, it's a matter of how we manifest it. So then you asked about within capitis, dimiutio, nolo, and in capitis, see, those are degrees. In capitis, dimiutio minima, in capitis, dimiutio media, in capitis, dimiutio. Aren't those degrees of status?
Sorry, sorry, guys. My brother. I'm sorry. That was my brother, y'all. They don't do that. It's seriously, sister. We're on the road, and this big guy with a tight T-shirt on. Yeah, so
y'all sound just the same. By the way, y'all sound just alike, just like me and my sisters sound the same. But we love hearing from the air, so we'll take it. Who has the authority by the lettering to give or take the right? Because, see, that's important. You brought that up, nobility. That at the frequency, we're at the God frequency, so who is it that has the authority to give or take our rights away? Only us, by how we choose to express our rights. So if you choose to write in all lowercase letters, you're saying, I'm not taking any of my own rights and giving them to anyone. I'm manifesting on my God level. In red, in all lowercase letters. In capitis, dimiutio, nolo, outside of the capitalist system. See, only we express our writing. No colonizer comes up and writes for me. They don't speak for me. They don't speak for you. They don't write for any of us. So when we see their paper and it's got all capital letters and black ink, all we have to say is, that's not us. So we're not even we're gonna ignore that because that's not us. Well, that means we're exercising our own rights. See, they don't have the authority to do it, but if we consent to their paper, that's important because we've been saying that all along. If we consent to their paper written in capitis, dimiutio, minima, or media, or maxima,
we committing fraud.
There it is. And we get what fraudsters get. That's important. That's important. That's really important. That's why I love what you said. It's not, I love it. Because so many other Moors are thinking the same thing. We present ourselves. We're not represented by a piece of paper done by a representative, a foreign, somebody pretending to represent us. We're the real Americans. No one represents the Moors. We're the real ancient Al-Moroccans. This is not a corporation, United States Corporation Company. That doesn't even exist when we say it doesn't. That's why the rest of the earth won't trade with them. Because we said, nope, we're using our own status, sovereignty, credit. How do we express that so that we don't vibrate at the level that they vibrated? Because they went and vibrated all over the earth in capital letters. Check it out. Check it out. They took capitalism, because see, you can listen to CNN and all of those other quote unquote financial colonizing channels, and all they talk about is capitalism and how awesome capitalism is, and don't get rid of capitalism and blah blah blah, so they see what's happening. They took capitalism, which ain't nothing but the use of capital letters and pretending to be the sovereigns with the consent of the sovereigns, because that's the only way they can do it is if we consent to it. So they took the capital letters and they put them in Turkish, they put them in Arabic, they put them in this, they put them in that, they put them in the other, and somewhere on the earth they didn't consent to it because they know who we are. And that's where all the bombing and supposed bombing and all of that stuff came from. There are some nations who said, I don't care what y'all do. We know that the Moors are the Moors over there, and they are our primogenitors. They created us too. We come from them. So no matter what you say, and no matter what you do, and no matter how many guns you pull out, we're going to still be in all lowercase letters, period. I posted on my social media on Facebook page, like the Jury Facebook page, some of the companies over there that kept everything in all lowercase letters. Now, here on this land, when you look at a lot of the companies, they changed their logos back to lowercase letters, Airbnb, etc., because they know everything belongs to the heirs. And that's how we express ourselves when we want to vibrate in godness. Now, again, there's no vibration out there that we don't own. We own all of them. We just pick one and say we want to manifest this. If you want to manifest a certain thing, into the natural, then it must start with that which is natural in this dimension, which is us. That which starts in fraud stays in fraud. That which starts in truth stays in truth, right? So that's why when we do our documents, we start them in the truth of in capitis dimiutio nolo, no loss of status, because we're not using capital letters to express ourselves in this dimension. Even in our sleep, and Dred Scott proved this, even in our sleep, I don't care who we said we were still sovereign. That's why they kept needing signatures. They kept sign this, sign that. And they taught us to sign. That was the first thing they teach you is how to sign. They claim it's how to write your name, quote unquote. That's the first thing they teach, isn't it? Because they know that consent starts right at the beginning.
Did you know that also that
Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr.
I was just going to say that you were just speaking to the all capital letters. Did you know there are some education schools in this country that are starting to teach the children to write their name in all capital letters?
Yes,
like
I know that.
Yeah, so instead of, uppercase and lowercase everything else. Because I remember when I grew up in school, they taught us, proper nouns such as your name, or the first letter is capitalized and the rest lowercase. It would be a proper noun. So now they're teaching them the exact opposite of that, to write it in all capital letters.
They want to kill them from the beginning. They want to denationalize them and never let them know who they really are. That's why. That's why it was wrong then, but now it's right. Because if the Moors didn't stand up, because we already up, if we didn't stand up, then all of us was going to be made corpses. And if we didn't teach our heirs that don't use that, then and we don't do our own erudition temples and teaching and learning of one another, then they were just going to kill off all the heirs and pretend to be us, and then continue to enslave and talking about give us. And now we don't even need the heirs to be alive, because they don't, they dead anyway. They're consenting to be dead. Justice Theodore, you better come on with it. He said, sign this and give me a sandwich. That's it. And if those lodges, the lodges, I'm going to unlock some more because I want them to be able to come in and out. So we make it a little static from the hybrids, but that's okay. We know how to boot them out. The lodges and those ones doing business as Masons, whenever they did anything, they wrote it in all lowercase letters. It was black ink. When they reported to the IRS in all capital letters, they wrote in black ink and all lowercase letters. And they always had one of us. All they needed was one heir in there. And a million of them and one of us. And that one heir and that one sovereign is upholding everybody else. That's what Prince Hall Masonry was all about in capital letters. Because see, Prince Hall in all lowercase letters in red is correct. That's the sovereign. But when we didn't start teaching the heirs,
so you're still talking.
You see what I'm saying? When we didn't teach the heirs who they really were, then guess what? They start teaching them. And they said, okay, well, they don't want to teach you to write in all lowercase letters. We ain't going to teach you either. In fact, we're going to switch places with you. That's why we're supposed to have our own school, our own erudition temple, where we teach. Why would we hand our heirs off to somebody who want to beat us? waiting outside of a meeting to come in so they can see what they can scavenge. No. And that has everything to do with the empresses. Because we birthed the nations. Why would we birth the nations and then hand the nations over to capital? Why? We'll never do that. Ever do that. Because even though we're sovereign and no one can ever take our sovereign status, if we consent to hand them something, they're going to take it. But we can see now that when we stop consenting, guess what? Not only are they not taking something, but they're coming and they're like lap dogs. They're like at our heels, barking at our heels. That's what coming in and out of these meetings is all about. That's them saying, please give me just one sandwich. Somebody, please. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Please give me a sandwich. So we don't let them ask questions and we don't answer them. We just boot them out. Can you blame them for wanting a sandwich? But they don't get to eat when our heirs are starving. No, they don't. They don't. Because if we feed our heirs first and all of that, when we feed our heirs first, then the whole earth gets to eat because the heirs are well. That's why they, even through all of this foolishness, we still had to be kept alive. And we were keeping ourselves alive. So that's what God does. So now we're vibrating. And Justice, you said something about English is a universal language. It's only universal when it's not corporate English. Corporate English uses capital letters and black ink. And if we vibrate with capital letters and black ink, we get what corporates get. And what we've been getting, which is them saying, oh, you got to be at our fake corporate Walmart court at 9 a.m. on Tuesday. They don't even know what 9 a.m. really is. They're not even using the right calendar because they're not competent to do that. And here we go. So, no. English is a universal language when it's used by the universal, sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. That's when it's the universal language. Did you know that the word Catholic means universal when it's in all lowercase letters in red? That's why the fake popes took the word Catholic and put a capital C on it and said everybody's Catholic. Because that means universal when it's spoken by the sovereign, original, indigenous heirs in all lowercase letters in red. That's how we speak. And see, when we were using what we thought was corporate English, we were still speaking ancient English. There are over 200 dialects of English, but they're not going to tell you that. Every other nation who speaks a different language has a dialect of English. Because we said everyone must know English so that when the heirs wake up and start speaking, everyone can understand their commands or understand their commands. Did you know that there was 200 and something dialects of English? We hear people speaking it all the time, and we always think, oh, that's wrong. No, that's their version of English. And then the corporates have a version of English. Go to Black's Law Dictionary and look up the word nation and see that a nation must have their own language in order to even be a nation, in order to even fit the definition of a nation. We have to have our own language that we all understand. Well, we're speaking it right now. Ancient English, we don't spell it the way the corporates do. Why? Because we cast our spells differently. Our spells are sovereign, and they are life. The letter killeth, but the spirit maketh alive. Haven't we heard that before? Haven't we heard that before? The letter killeth, but the spirit maketh alive. They're talking about the capital letter killeth because it's a corruption. It's a corruption of that which is living. So all we have to do, because we're the only ones who have the authority to take or give or use or exercise a right. We are our own right by bloodline and birthright. That's what a birthright is. It means no one can take it. Only the sovereign can say, here, you take that, or you take this. Or you can't have any of it. I'm using all my rights. I'm exercising all rights nunc pro tunc, like we say on our sovereign affidavit. Well, how do we state that properly? We can vibrate one way or we can vibrate the other way. And when we vibrate the way that our ancestors did, because if you look at all of the old documents, if you go and talk to any of the older, those of us who kept the culture, now here it is right there, Justice Rennie, I believe that is. Can you speak on what you just put in the chat? Because see, we're not making this up. What the justice put in the chat is, indeed, because in Trinidad we have our own English. And it does not follow the corporate rules. Why? Because they needed the ones here.
Yes, Empress, indeed. I said indeed because it makes a lot of sense, because our ancestors, they communicated among themselves, and the colonialists forced them to speak their tongue rather than use their own form of English. So we were literally forced to try to become them rather than be ourselves. So because I tried it out a few years ago, some men from Canaan land came to do a project, and I tried it out on them, and I asked them certain questions in our dialect, and I was speaking English, and they couldn't understand what I was saying.
Wow.
So indeed, I mean, we need to use it a little bit more. It's almost like a code. If we can use our own code among ourselves, then of course those on the other side will not be able to indeed comprehend what we are saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's beautiful. Because you know what? And this is where ancient English comes from. See, all of the other languages came from ancient English. We're finding that out just looking at the documents, the ancient old documents. Anything, what is ancient English? Let's just talk about that. Every last one of us knows ancient English, and we don't realize that we know ancient English. We've been speaking it the whole time, because see, when we go into those fake courts, we think we're speaking the same English. And we're saying, we have rights, and they're saying, no, you don't, because you're here in this fake court, and just by virtue of you speaking in a fake court, and you don't know that you're the law, then we have to be the law. And they're not even the law, they're codes and statutes. It sounds the same, but it's not spelled the same, because the spell is different. And corrupt. Yes, come on, Empress Portia. Corrupt. So when they're saying, just like when the hybrids come in here and they say, Pauline, you're full of shit, you know, they say stuff like that, you know, and we giggle at that because we know they're not talking about us. And they will even put it in the chat. They'll put a capital P. Well, that's not me. You're not even talking to me. You're not even talking about me. That's why I don't even bother. They're doing the same thing that their fake courts do. We're not speaking the same language. They're speaking capitalism and speaking to a corpse, and we're speaking ancient English and all lowercase letters in red ink. In propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, in proprio heredes. All of that. But some Moors will hear that and they'll say, oh, he said my name. You don't even have a name. Heirs, you don't have a name. We know that. But some are distracted by hearing a corpse make noise. But see, those corpses know that they only get life when we speak to them. If we don't speak to them, they can't even breathe. Because remember, the bibliopelio text says that God breathed life into those bones, and those bones lived. That's the same thing that's going on right now. If we, and that's why I said, if you don't want to breathe life into them, don't. But now what we're saying, because we see the difference, when they're acting in corporate status, you don't have to say nothing but all rise and stand and do a sovereign Article 3 court action on them. And when you do it in court action status and court action as a Moorish American consular court, ancient Moroccan consular court, Article 3, when you do it that way, you're in alignment with the universal treaty. Because see, some of us think that the treaty it only applies to the Western Hemisphere when it really is a universal treaty. It applies everywhere that we are, and we're everywhere. So when the consul is then deciding, just like the treaty says, we're speaking ancient English when we make our decisions, and when we render our verdicts, and when we give our judgments and justice. Because we've chosen to vibrate at that level. We've never vibrated at the same level as them in this dimension. And that's why they kept doing what they were doing, because they knew we did not know we're not speaking the same language. It sounds the same, but the Phoenicians are the phoneticists. So we determine the phonetic pronunciation of a word. And then when we speak that word with our intention behind it, that determines the meaning of the word, not a corporate. Corporates don't determine the meaning of anything at all.
Islam. For example, we would say brother. We won't say brother.
Yeah.
Or we would say father.
Yes.
We won't say father. When I did the etymology of both words, we are more close to the original. in the original, it says father. And that's what we sung. We don't say a TH. The TH was brought in after a while. But it was indeed father. If you check the etymology of the word father, you will see father as the original word. So we are up to something, and it's glorious what is taking place. We are literally bringing things back to the original moorings. Yeah?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? I had to look the word up. I had to look up the word father because what you said just rang so true in my spirit. You know the Latin pronunciation and spelling of father is fada. So you all have been saying it right the whole time. But see, the corpses taught us the other way to say it. Now, again, all words belong to the Phoenicians. So let's get that straight. The corpses don't own nothing. They don't own a language. They don't own any words. But if we want to vibrate a certain way, we speak it a certain way with certain intention and with certain emotion or calmness or peace. And that's what peace really is. So peace is the intention behind everything, whether it's actions or writing or what we say or what we do or facial expressions. If there's peace behind it, no one can question it. No one can question it. It's only when we give off war energy that people start thinking that is that a colonizer? Or is that some colonized thinking? So, let me just see right here. Okay, I wanted to make sure anyway, so when you look up the word Father, it's going to give some Latin version, the Latin of that. And the Latin of Father is just one moment. Okay, so the Latin is Pater, but the Middle English is Sader or Sadir. And then there's one that is Saeder. Okay. And then there's Old High German is Fatar. And then that's from the Latin Pater. So they still come from the same, we can say that however we want to say it and spell it however we want to spell it. But anytime you look in a dictionary, an older dictionary, they're going to have the right capitalization on the word. So when you see Latin, the Latin version of a word in an older dictionary, it's always going to be in all lowercase letters. Even if it's Father or God or whatever it is, it's going to be in all lowercase letters. All of the Latin words are going to be in all lowercase letters. All of them. There's a reason for that. And that's why all law started. Look at your dictionaries. Islam Empress in the chat. All of the Latin words are going to be in all lowercase letters. There's never going to be a Latin word in uppercase letters. In an older dictionary. Not that newfangled BS where they started changing everything. But I'm talking about the older one. And here's the thing. We haven't even really seen what the Vatican has. And when I say Vatican, Vatican is still us in all lowercase letters in red. All of us are the popes in red and all lowercase letters. We're all the Roman pontiff in red and all lowercase letters. We were the first. And we'll be the last. But we haven't even seen our older books that our ancestors wrote that there's hundreds of miles worth of those books held in the Vatican vaults and down, over there at the Vatican, which is really Timbuktu. That's our place right there too. There's nothing that we don't own that we're not the heirs to. So I just wanted to, this is good. And I'm just so glad that we can hear one another and we can talk back and forth. That's why we're not going to change this platform, because the same things that you expressed, nobility, all the nobilities who spoke today, is the same things that the new Moors who are waking up are thinking. They're thinking the same. And then some Moors who've been Moors for way longer than we ever knew we were Moors. Because, we've only known who we are. And when I say we, I'm talking me and my ancestral energy since 2017. 2017, the middle of 2017, which is not long. That's 3.5 years.
I second that.
Yes, Islam. But the ancestors, because we keep our spirit open and clear, and we keep our energies clear, even with regard, and that's another thing about hybrids coming in. They wanna get your energy in a place that it shouldn't be in. So just don't let them do it. Again, we choose which frequency to vibrate at. We choose that. No one, that's like when someone says they made me mad. And I always think to myself, how powerless, why are you giving away your power like that? No one can make you mad. You can choose to get mad, but no one can make you mad. That's a choice. No one can make you a slave. That's a choice. No one can make you a citizen. They can't make you a citizen or a slave anyway because you're sovereign. But if you choose to put on the mask of citizenship or the mask of slavery, because all of that is a mask. If you put on the mask of capitalism, because see, that's the biggest mask. That's what all of this mask stuff is all about. If we've chosen to take that capitalism mask off, we first didn't even know we were wearing a mask. We didn't know we were wearing a mask. But now we know that we were wearing a mask. Okay, no more mask. And guess who had to go ahead and put a mask back on? That's what that's really all about. It's a ritual. It's a ritual. When we take the mask off, all the fakes and frauds got to put them on. They'll take them off if we decide we want to put a mask back on. And then they will run rampant and rancid all over. It would have been crazy. But we know that's not going to happen because we've already nipped that in the bud. It's not going to happen. We already dealt with it. We already dealt with it. And we're going to keep rising. That's what the grand rising is. It doesn't look like what we thought it was going to look like. Because, see, some people are waiting for some big, great, grand pow to happen. It's in every letter you write. It's in every document. It's in every autograph. It's the little foxes that spoil the vine, but it's also the little ones that make the vine so sweet. Make it so sweet and so perfect and so tasty, and with the perfect texture and the perfect manifestation, because we've gotten the little things taken care of. All those little letters. Yes, nobility in the chat. The sun rises in degrees. It don't just pop up in the sky and be like, oh. It just doesn't do that. It comes up as it will. And at the behest of the heirs, by the way. We're the ones who choose whether the sun shines or not. And I know we don't know that part of the manifestation. Some of us don't know that part of the manifestation yet. But we choose that frequency too. That's why the skies look so different than what they looked like when we were asleep as a nation. Then it was time for us to wake up. Just like the prophet said in the 2000s, the Moors are going to come into their own. The skies are like, everyone pay attention, the heirs are awake. Let's throw a few conjunctions out there that haven't happened in 25,000 years. Let's make everything align. Everyone get in alignment. Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, everybody in alignment. Sun, moon, line up. That's what conjunctions are. Is the announcement that the heirs, the sovereigns, are awake. Why? Because we took care of the little things. It's the little things. See, I get when Moors say, we're sovereign no matter how we write. I get that. And that's true on the dimensions, on all the other dimensions. But we've chosen to manifest on this dimension in addition to the other dimension. So we have to get it right in this dimension too. And that's a choice. Let's choose wisely in this dimension, on this plane, so that we can continue to supersede this plane. I'm telling you, it's major. It's major. And even the fake Pope, when he did his letter to Barack Obama and he talked about United States of America major and minor, those are degrees. Those are degrees. Degrees are manifested in everything that we do. So I'm just grateful that we're awake and we can see now. And that's what's causing the changes. That's why the whole earth has said, you know, everybody hold it for a minute. Hold it with all that trading back and forth and all of that. Hold it. Stop everything. The heirs are speaking. And now they're just watching us rise and rise and rise and rise. There's no big, gigantic. It's the little things that's causing the grand rising. It's kind of like even with tires on a conveyance. If a little bit of air comes out, nobody really notices it. But over time, if that same tiny little amount of air keeps coming out of the tire, after a while the tire is going to be flat and everyone's going to notice, oh, there's a flat tire. Well, the grand rising is the opposite of that. There's air going in and we're all rising, and it's like a boiling pot. It starts slowly at first, and then it keeps rising and rising, and before you know it, the pot is just boiling over and everyone knows that something's going on in the kitchen. Well, the grand rising, welcome, 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 welcome. I'm excited about all that's going on with our nation because we are rising, and the grand rising has moved into exponential warp speed. It's moving into warp speed. Warp speed.
No turning back now.
None, none. And you know what? We don't even want to. We good with moving forward. We good with it.
Making it happen.
So, and we're doing it together. That's the part I love, is that we can, you know, and that's why we're not changing the venue for this call. It's because the rest of the earth gets to hear all of us and not just one or two. All of us. I love that. So with that being said, we're going to bring this portion of our gathering, our permanent, eternal gathering, to a pause. And it's not really even a pause, because we'll be together even after this is over, because we're indivisible. But we will come back together on this platform tomorrow, which is Thursday. It'll be March the 25th, 2021 on the Greco-Roman calendar, which is ancient too. They stole that. It's ancient. And also 1442 on the ancient moon calendar, and 1441 on the ancient sun calendar. And then you have Leo calendars and Aquarius calendars, and all of the signs of the zodiac have a calendar of their own, et cetera, et cetera. We're so diverse, and we're everything. We're the all in one.
And President, before we close, question. Yes. Well, I did my public notification, and should I go ahead and mail them to like the Prime Minister and the President and all of that?
You know what? I would if I were you.
Huh?
Because they're not who they say they are. See, those people that's not real.
Right.
We're the president. We're the prime ministers. We're all of that in red and all lowercase letters. They took that from us too.
Woo!
They didn't really take it. They didn't really take it. It's still ours in red and all lowercase letters. It's still ours. It's still ours even because see, they still got to do what we say, period. It's just that now, and that's the difference between competence and still learning the erudition. okay? It's how you express it. That's how you know whether they're competent or still, you know, and we're all still learning.
Listen, I went into the Trinidad and Tobago Constitution last night, and it states that Trinidad and Tobago is a sovereign democratic state. I went and I did the etymology of each of those words, and it literally says that it's a farce, it's a fraud, it's not even real.
Yes.
I'm saying, my goodness.
Yes.
Wow.
We know how to read now, so nobility, don't we?
Yes, we do. Really.
Finally, we know how to read now. We will go pull out a dictionary that's older, unabridged, or in a heartbeat and realize that, oops, we still it. We're everything, and that's fraud over there.
I lose.
Period. It's a beautiful thing. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. I love it. I love it. I love the energy. I love where we're going. Our ancestors are moving us so quickly. We're continuing to unify. I love it. Yeah. With that being said, peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, and
I love you.
Islam. I love you too. Islam. Islam. Grand
Moors
rising.
Eternal Gathering.
Yes, yes, we will never stop. We'll never stop, Empress.
As above, so below. Peace, love, and grand rising, Moors.
There it is, right there. There it is. Let's do this. Let's do it.
That's it. We got it.
Islam.
Right.
Islam it is.
Yeah.
Islam.